Hello. Today I want to talk about negativity. Negativity seems to be the order of the day for some folk, doesn't it? And it's obvious that in these strange COVID-19 days that would be the case, I suppose, because people do feel negative. People feel vulnerable. And the constant drip, drip, drip of news every day is bound to get to us and get us down. I've read lots of news lately about COVID-19, as you have. I've seen lots of news reports telling us of real problems all over this world. Self-isolation and social distancing have added to that sense of emotional pain. It's hardly surprising that we feel negative. It's like the energy is seeping out of us. Yet we cannot allow that kind of voice, that negativity, to be the only thing within our hearts and minds. We cannot let negativity dominate us. Yes, there's sadness, there's concern, there's grief. But we are a people of faith too. And we need to turn to God and seek the peace and the reassurance of God's presence with us, even in these very strange days. Especially in these days, when I think we desperately need to rediscover the peace, the hope, and even the joy of our faith. Yet this isn't just an issue for COVID-19 times. Don't you think some people are just plain negative all the time? Always eager to be critical, to pull up other people and make their lives more difficult? That's certainly been my experience of life and of ministry within the church. I'm sure you know the kind of people I'm talking about, who never seem to be able to say anything positive about other people. And even if they do, they don't really sound sincere. I guess as I've got older, my attitudes have changed. I've grown tired of having people around me who are such an emotional drag, such a spiritual drag on my life. Today, I want you to think just for a few minutes about how we need to be careful that we don't surround ourselves only with those who drag us down and drain us emotionally and spiritually. At this time, we've heard a lot about taking care of ourselves physically, about being careful about our conversations and our meetings with people, careful about the amount of time we spend out of the house, warned not to spend time with people that we don't live with. I want to suggest that we need to be careful too about our spiritual life. The hope of our faith is that God is with us. Every time the sun rises, we get a hint of the power of the God of all creation. God is with us in the echo of the bird song, echoing something of the laughter and the joy of heaven every time we hear that song. And yet the negative folk around us can steal away some of that song, that assurance of God's presence and God's peace. Negative folk can drain our energy and our confidence, help us to become doubting of our own self-worth. I'd like to encourage you to say no to that kind of drain upon your heart and mind. We need to surround ourselves with voices who are honest, critical when they need to be, but affirming, not just judgmental. That's the kind of self-care that I think is essential for us as Christians, for people, whether they have faith or not, and not just for this time, but for all times. We need to be really careful about inviting into our hearts and lives those who always respond with negativity, who treat our small accomplishments and successes with faint praise, with complaints. Sometimes those complaints are founded in jealousy. Sometimes I'm not really sure where they come from, but they're not good. You see, when God sees me and you, his reaction towards us is one of deep affection and love, a passion, a longing for the best for us. God, perhaps more than even ourselves, always sees potential, always sees wonder within us. So if that's true, and it certainly is, why would we want to allow other voices to drown out the voice, the one, the word, who seeks always to build us up and not drag us down? So let's see if we can give those negative people a wide berth. Let's see if we can stay 2 meters away from them, not just now, but in the near future, in the rest of our lives. I don't know why, but in my ministry and in my life as a Christian, I've become aware that actually church seems to have quite a lot of folk who are just not very nice to one another sometimes. The negative folk exist within our faith communities. If you're one of those folk who find it easier to complain and be horrible and pick fault, be critical and negative rather than kind, can I make a suggestion? Stop. Just stop. My mum used to tell us when we were growing up, and I'm sure your mothers told you similar things, that if you can't think of anything positive to say, don't say anything at all. Let's see if we can be people who mimic the God we are called to worship and serve. To be people who bring joy, who are bearers of peace and good news, not negativity. Let's let the sun shine through us and push these energy-sapping people at least 2 meters away, so that the joy and the love of God might flood through us and then through us into our communities. My prayer for you today is that you might know the real positive affirmation of God upon your life, and that as you seek to draw closer to him, you might know blessings. Have a good day, and please stay safe.